Howdys and salutations, y'all. Hope you're having a nice Sunday morning today so far. It's going to be a low-key stream today, mainly because I'm not feeling totally great, a little under the weather, or maybe just exhausted. It's been a heck of a week. But I don't want to let that stop us from getting some ArtFight going. Pardon me. So, let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do so far. Last time where we left off, nope, that's another character we might look at. Last time where we left off, we had wrapped up Salt's character sheet. I've even got it in the sub view so we can just quick look. Oh yeah, I can pop it out, right? There we go. So we put this one together for Salt. Pretty happy with how it went. Not sure these color guides are the most useful because you have to follow my process rather than just having the purple or whatever. But it's a start. It's the first like proper feeling character sheet I've made, I'll be honest, and I'm pretty happy with it. That said, we still have a week until ArtFight. Pardon me. And that means we have plenty of time to work on some other characters, maybe. The secret being, of course, that if a character sheet runs a little bit into ArtFight, that's not the end of the world, but I would like to spend most of July actually working on ArtFight defenses and attacks rather than this, so we'll be holding off on that for now. Or not holding off on that for now, but we'll be hoping that we can get some stuff done before then. So there's 3 more character sheets I'd like to do. We definitely don't have time for that. But there's 2 I think I will most likely attempt. We may just have to save Sifamir for a future year. I want to tweak his design a little more anyway. Let's see. As much as I love those 4-hour like brainstorm art sessions where we just go for it, they're extremely helpful. I do also still want to actually do some proper refinement and stuff after that, which I haven't been able to do so much with Sifamir yet. However, I think that the other 2 are going to be fairly viable. So one of those options is, let's see, Peta, who is another D&D NPC, who I've had a lot of fun with, and who I'd like to... that one I may do off-stream. We'll see if we end up recording it or not. Maybe we'll do a speed draw of it or something that we post. Just because I'm trying to make sure I've got enough time to get these done, and so I'm going to have to work on it at like bizarre times and in small chunks, I think. But on stream, I think we're going to have a go at Olivine. Because this one actually turned out really well, all things considered. Like, is it perfect? No, of course not. But does it look a heck of a lot better than even some of the ones just shortly before it? I'd say so. So, I've got Olivine references on Pinterest, as usual, if anyone wants to go check out the refs that we're using. I've made a fresh file, same size and dimensions and everything as Salt's, so we can try to have a little consistency. And, yeah, give a couple minutes and we'll jump into it. But before that, there is one other interesting thing, is ArtFight has officially announced what the teams are going to be this year. So last year was Bloom versus, was it Decay? Never remember what the other team was, because I was new and joined halfway through, and you know, I could barely remember my own team. Wither, it was Bloom and Wither, which was a fun combo. It looks like this year they have gone with the classic vampires versus werewolves. So, unlike last year, where I was definitely all about Bloom. I did get randomly assigned to it, but it's the one I was gonna switch to it if I, even if I didn't get assigned to it. So I was pretty happy with that. This one, I don't necessarily have a whole lot of opinion on which one I end up in. Both have a lot of potential to be fun. So it may depend on like where my friends land and where other people land. I do want to try to decide before the day of, because otherwise we get lag like nobody's business. Or at least there can be issues. I probably need to spruce this page up a little bit, but that's okay. We did get Salt's page updated. So we've got Salt in here with all the new character sheet. I left the old stuff in there too. I always, I don't want to toss the old references, and they're not technically wrong, and it's kind of fun to see progress. But, jeepers, yeah, I still can't get over how, like, obviously there's still plenty to do, but I've come such a long way from this one. Let's see. Needing to review her own like character view. Like that's still for the most part good. I can probably put some updates on that, but that's not a priority for this stream. So, assuming that I don't have this headache get worse than it currently is, and at the moment, knock on wood, it's milder than it was when I woke up or when I went to bed. So hopefully, we'll have some luck with that. Apologies again. Let me go ahead and grab pose reference. Keep that over here. And I'm going to get started just real quick, because I don't know if y'all have noticed, I have definitely gotten into the habit of like changing my art workflow like every 2 or 3 art pieces. Like I keep trying to refine it or test new techniques, or I see a technique online and I'm like, oh, that's fun. Or I'm doing something with pencil and paper and I realize like, oh, I can maybe use that process instead. So it changes constantly. Like we're not we're no longer doing like super sketchy line work and then using the select tool to like manually fill in all of the colors and shadows and everything, and precisioning every single edge with that. We've gotten better line control since then and better techniques. Even since this Olivine, we still roughly follow this, going from pose to sketch to values to colors and then shading. But the way I do pose is different now, I guess is the biggest change. And I've really appreciated how, I know I shouted him out a couple videos ago. I could try to dig into my own channel and see if I can find that shout out, because it was pretty handy. So I'm actually going to do that real quick. I'm going to go crack open my own YouTube channel and check my own videos. Okay, because genuinely been helpful. It's probably on the first Salt episode, I would suspect. Oh, right. I've got a plugin that blocks descriptions for the most part, along with like comments and a bunch of other like distracting junk. Yes. Was The Art of Progress by, is it Asia or Azia Ladowska? It's been great. Just like basically what it is, I can't guarantee it'll literally be like perfect progress or whatever, but it's a nice daily 15-minute drawing exercise that has really gotten me to loosen up and gotten me to test some different stuff with lines and pens. But mostly it's gotten me to think about poses a different way, because I mean, every guide you see for gesture, all of them, really, like, what they have you doing is you have the gesture where you try to find like line of action that you can then exaggerate, and like, I don't know, you find like key shapes and everything. Which key shapes is going to vary depending on who you're asking, because everyone's kind of got a different way they like to break it down. Then you can sort of like see it getting built out. And this is, not the best approach that I'm doing right now, because it's, just for this demo, basically. Then, like, you kind of attach the legs. didn't really line up with this line of action very well. I mean, a proper gesture one wouldn't have this much detail. It would just be like some super basic like S-curve thing with like a line. And then just trying to capture key shapes. I don't know, something basic. And then you get like actual structure attempts going on in here. And like, I don't know. Like, yeah, it technically works. And yes, I am describing this process as a warm-up excuse, basically. But like, I don't know, it still for me is too easy to get, it's easy to get caught up in like the technical detaily bits at this stage, especially when we're doing it like this. Whereas this one, I have trouble getting it from like a view like this to actually, because as soon as I take this and I try to add like structure to it, I'm like, oh, not so good, not working. So, let's see, old pose demo, sure, we'll call it that, whatever. So in the new ones, I've been really enjoying this approach that you probably saw with Salt. And if I ever post the daily drawings, which again, because they're kind of rough exercises, they're not exciting to post. Frequently, they're very mid. Um, but I have seen improvements because of them, and I'm slowly seeing improvements in them as well. But the process basically is to get. I've been going with just the real G pen. It's got kind of a rougher edge, and it's got a lot of pressure sensitivity, and just a big old, way too big size. And basically, you still have to pay a little attention to proportions and stuff, but basically just like trying to fill out the shapes themselves, not like lines around the shapes, but literally just the shapes themselves. And trying to keep the proportions in a reasonable way, which, you know, is easy to mess up at this because you're not doing the lines to plan it. You've got to just pay close attention to where stuff ends and relative positions of things. But it helps a lot with character stuff because it's very silhouette focused. I realize this doesn't look much like a silhouette at this point, but I assure you there is a logic to it. Toss those two though, they did not quite go where I wanted them to. Not that, which needs to be roughly the same length as that, so we'll keep it going down, kind of get the heel, what comes out. Ah, rats. Get an eraser that's of a similar size. Just try to make sure that I'm getting my angles right. Give this, like, I'm not trying to capture too much detail of form, even like that foot probably has a little too much already, but that actually, oops, realizing that the torso probably needs to lean back a little more than it currently is. It's something that's just kind of easy to build out with these shapes. It feels more like, if I was to compare this to 3D modeling, it feels like the equivalent of using a sculpt tool instead of the like extruding and all of those other tools. Like both of them have their merits, and you're probably going to want to use both in the process eventually. But for what we're doing, this seems just like so much easier of a way to get, like, to really capture the shapes, for me at least. Like, I don't know, just going off this ref, like, look, are the proportions perfect? No. But are they, like, better than the line work one I did? Yes, definitely. Much, much better. And they still capture the depth of the pose. Well, they fit the gesture better without even having had the gesture open. So, like, I don't know. There's definitely merits to using actual lines, but this has been so much easier when I'm just like trying to start a project. I'm like, I don't know where to start. I'm not like warmed up. Let me basically just scribble it into existence, and it has improved my like confidence on starting projects a lot, and I feel like it's actually improved how they're actually turning out too. So, oops, I just accidentally straight up closed the salt view. So I've got one other secret, not that secret if you pay attention to my layers. that I've been doing here, and that is I copied Salt's file, like the entirety of Salt's file into this, just so I always have it as a reference and like the stages I used. Because I feel like that one worked well, but because it's a new process, I don't have it memorized, like at all. Okay, yeah, well, I'll leave PETA there. I'm probably not going to open PETA's thing today, but we'll leave it there for now. So here is Ollie, or Olivine. Salt's name may not make it obvious, but all my characters are named after rocks and minerals, mostly minerals. At least all of my characters from that particular like group. We've got Salt and Olivine and Gabbro and Feldspar. I like it. I don't know if anyone else will ever like that naming convention, but I've enjoyed it. And then on the flip side, PETA is unrelated. Different village, technically still the same D&D campaign, actually, but long distance away. And I guess if the party bought an airship, it would be a less long distance away. But they seem content with polymorphing into whatever creature is maybe relevant. And just having a go, which is fine by me, honestly. That's a lot of fun. Let's see. For those who don't know, on Olivine, I'm trying to make her something of a foil to Salt. So if Salt is the overly enthusiastic, doesn't think things through kind of character, just jumps in, has fun going for it, and then doesn't really think about the consequences until they reach her. Olivine is the like overly process-driven paladin who wants everything to be exactly as it ought to be. Likes it when people follow what's supposed to happen. They don't like winging it. So hopefully that'll be an interesting dynamic if I ever actually, write anything between the two of them, which who knows. But I want to start with that. But then I want to sort of still get it closer to the Salt proportions. Like, this is a decent pose from an actual human reference. But let's... pose. Demo. And then I want one that is basically like that, but which I'm going to mess with the sizes a little bit. Okay, hold on, that's the original. I want to cut that. And we'll just leave that layer there for now. I didn't want to cut it. Dagnabbit. I wanted to copy that. Pose. There's our old one. I'm going to sort of scoot over to the side. And then let's crack this one open and see what we're dealing with. Yeah, you can tell I'm exhausted because that was not an idiom that made any stinking sense in that context. Okay, that just... right. Mode. Retransform. Yeah, it's not exactly what we want. How am I going to capture the same, like, silly proportions that Salt has? They're not silly, it's just that she's, actually straight up a kid, so... Oh, no, don't apply that yet. Looks ominous, the March of the Grey Army. So we've got Salt at, like... And now Olivine is taller than Salt, but not, like, by a crazy amount. And Salt is at a slight bend there, which is going to make her look even like a tiny bit shorter than she is because of that pose. Even so, I think Olivine probably needs to get to, like, I don't know, a full shin's worth shorter. So let's see what we can do. Rather than doing anything like directly with that, let me see if I can't just mimic it. The catch, though, is I don't want to just draw the same thing smaller. I'm trying to actually shift the proportions. And I know CSP has some proportions tools that I have had very bad luck with in the past. It's not that they don't work, it's that I don't know how to use them, and I haven't had time to, like, properly learn it. This is the problem when I try to do this, is that, like, the proportions get wrong and the characters end up, like, oddly wide, because I just made it shorter, but I didn't actually adjust the width. Which, for the record, like, it's not like it's bad, this is just a different body type. But, like, it's not the body type that Olivine actually is. So I'm like, well... I forgot that I wasn't even on the eraser in the first place. I was just drawing invisibly. Drawing with negative, basically. Let's add -2 to this illustration. It ends up looking a little more satyry than I was necessarily going for with that. I don't know that that makes as much sense proportionally. Like, I think it fits with salt size more. Oh, wait. There's one other thing that I can try that might be easier. I don't know who's on which layer now. We're slowly just developing a squad of poses. This isn't ominous. Let's hide them for a second. Let's go to this one. Let's grab a fresh copy. I'll fix the names once we have this sorted out. Scoot it over here. I am gonna do a little more transformy with this one. I appreciate that it reset back to this. I feel like that's having some weird effects on it, but that's probably fine. Yeah, it's ending up like really squatty. I'm gonna have to clean that up a little bit. Then there's the secret of just a really big head for kids. Or at least for this age. Like, I'm not talking about like an infant where it's like a quarter of their body, but like the heads ratio between like age 12 and age like adult is like generally one head shorter. Clear some stuff out. We can't. Or some of this a little more, just because it's like, I don't know, that's feeling better. Yeah, I'm not following exact proportions. That isn't obvious at this point. But it should, yeah, that should at least be like a start. I feel like that head's slightly too big. Because the normal one would be, you know, that. So we can aim for slightly bigger, but not like giant. That's reasonable. I don't know which song this is, but I think I'm going to have to pull it out of the playlist at some point. It is so Land of Green and Gold. It's not a bad song. It's just so like my headset doesn't play nice with those pitches. Okay. We've got salt over here. Ollie's a little bit older, but like, I don't know. Generally, I think as we get the line work in and it looks less just like a copy of the pose ref and more like its own thing, I think that will be better. But I worry that it's still like too tall, generally speaking, because like, and that's still like a lot taller than Salt is. On the flip side, what we could do is lean into it as sort of like a lanky pose. Yeah, okay, let's try making this like more tall and skinny approach, which would kind of be a better contrast against Salt anyway. Would like yeah, I realize D&D situation, paladins, you know, but like she would probably be getting strong, but they're also still like young and early in their training, so not going to be anything crazy. The legs, we're gonna have to. The leg issue is the fact that we can't actually like see anything with the silhouette, so like it's hard to figure out where the legs actually are. I'm pretty sure they're starting higher up. Let's see. I feel like once we get the legs sorted out, this is actually going to be like the rest of it's feeling more right. We'll see how much we want on the next stylization. Okay, that. There, unfortunately kind of a weird tangent with that leg, but that's okay. Ah, the issue is that that's like needs to be hitting more like here. There we go. That's feeling less bad. I mean, it's still not perfect, but we got our squad. What a bizarre squad. Okay, well, you know, like with that, I ought to take the black lines out of this so they don't confuse stuff on other layers. Then we'll be set. Okay. Clear that out. Sorry I'm not being super chatty today. I'm just trying to stay on top of things. I try to stay out of politics, but there was in the ongoing invasion of Ukraine, there were some interesting events over the last few days that I've been trying to keep up with, and I stayed up way too late watching those. Also, frankly, our weather has reached it's officially summer here, which means our weather is now officially garbage. It's the worst season. I understand people like living in the north where you actually get like snow more than once every 4 years. Like I understand why people don't like winter, but where I'm at, summer is the worst. We should have winter vacations here. We should not have summer vacations because in winter, like I don't know, occasionally it gets properly cold, but usually it's like in the 50s or 60s. Sometimes you get a couple weeks of 40s, whereas summer we can get like 9 straight weeks of 90 to 100 degrees. That's, for context, that's like 35 to 40 Celsius. It's the worst. The actual worst. It's not the worst. I think Arizona technically has us beat. I guess proof I'm not in Arizona, but at least our streetlights don't melt and the trash cans, but like it's still bad. We don't have to compete on it. We just have to agree that it's awful. We should do better in terms of like scheduling around it. Um, there we go. Pose. Start with this. And then I'm going to pull up Olivine in the other view. Yeah, so I'm going to pull that one out. So sorry, I've got that reference. Y'all probably won't be able to see it. I'm sure you've seen, if you may have seen Olivine before. We'll just be building off of that same design. You're probably going to see if I ever click into it, like you'll see all of the layers change because it's technically a separate file. I didn't like bring the export over. For better or for worse, we'll see how that goes. Now, not this. I think what we actually want to do next is some lines. Just going to call it sketch. Layers titled sketch frequently seem to not go super great for me, so I don't know why I'm calling it that, but we're going to do it. Oop. Just realized my drawing posture is like bad right now. Let's try this again with maybe a little less strain on the shoulders. Okay, I'm going to drop this down to like a 70, which that's one other thing I started doing after these daily drawings, and I got some context for them, is my file sizes have probably been too small, like in the past, which is why I always like zoom in, even on Mikola, like you zoom in not too far and you get real pixelated real quick, and I was just like, come on, I'm using HD proportions, why is it doing this? But no, let's use bigger scale down to export. Seems to be the correct process. Okay. Trying to think of where to even start with this one, because this is kind of a different angle from the other view we did. I guess, hold on, I can take the other one and invert it. And oh, I should have done that while we were drawing it. Oh no. Fine, we can still use it as a reference though. Although actually I have to be careful about that because Olivine's design isn't symmetrical. Heck nabbit. Here, we can start with this part. On the waistline, probably around... Do I have the waistline, like, too much? Or is it, like, stomach here, then, like, that, and then is that, like, just... That's a lot of leg, though. Maybe that's normal? Okay. Have that. Yeah. That'll do for that piece. On the flip side, on this side, oh, that's right, she has a pauldron. Okay, good, I'm glad I had this reference open. I've apparently completely forgotten her design. Ah. I don't even know what I'm aiming for at this point. That'll do. We can tweak it as we go. She's also got like that chainmail. I almost called it a coif. That's not correct. And then, right, she's got... It's going to be the easiest way to depict this. The way I've drawn this leg specifically makes it like hard to actually get this on there. Not impossible though. A little bit tricky. There we go. That's not in quite correct perspective, but it's a start. The main thing I'm actually worried about getting at this stage is where this piece lands. Which, was kind of inconsistent in the old drawing, huh? Didn't even notice that. I'm gonna go for here since that seems to make the most sense. Another one that was more consistent down here. A little bit of that going. Right, and then she's got like the medievally authentic but still kind of bizarre like strap-in shoes. That's fine. Not really medieval authentic to a knight, to be fair, but none of that one's going to be something similar. To the bottom edge of that one. Get this coming in here. And that would have been really great if it was the left foot. Trying to keep feet the right shape in proportion always is like, or in perspective is hard. I guess in proportion too, but like it in different poses really. Pose, proportion, and perspective go hand in hand a lot, don't they? But that'll end there. Of sorts. And then I assume she has a glove, but bigger thing is close that view. Sorry, I'm trying to sort my references out. Because I accidentally closed the pose ref, and there's one more thing that it would be very helpful for, and that is hand. Now, I'm going to be honest, this is... I feel like I go back and forth on this, but generally speaking, like, oops, I really do enjoy drawing hands. It feels crazy, but it's fun. That said, this one is like a little bit small at the current angle. Because, let's see. Gotta be holding a strap from the shield. Now I gotta figure out the right angle for the shield too, because that's gonna be a whole different challenge. I roughly do know where the strap should be interacting with Ollie, so that helps. Went with period accurate kite shield with a few tweaks that make it a little more fun. To make it fun and to make it make sense with her spear. Okay, which side is the notch on? Hold on. It is on this side. That makes sense. Less when it's that close to her hand. I have the impression that in the other drawing the kite shield was actually a little larger, which is probably too large for a kite shield, but that's okay. This is still in my mind kind of a rough sketch, but I'm trying to get the important details. Like I know we're getting a lot of like actual liney work going in here. I guess it really is more just like pulled straight down like that. Used to believe that the notch was a later addition, so the pattern's not going to account for it very well. Yeah, we'll have to clean up the shape and size of that a little bit. Then, of course, she's got her spear, which I'm actually going to draw the hand first. Just because I think last time we ran into a lot of issues that we kept readjusting the hand angle because it didn't make sense on both Mikola and the initial Olivine drawing. So, I'm going to try not to repeat that mistake. But it does mean I need to find what is actually a significantly older Olivine ref, and I'm not sure where it lives. Because I at one point did like some practice sketches before we were doing the stream, because even with the 4-hour streams I wanted to know roughly what the character was going to end up looking like, even though I usually didn't end up knowing all that much what it was going to end up looking like. That's Mikola, that's... Oh, yeah, that's not a character, I was just doodling. Okay, cool. That's overly cartoony Sifamir. It's funny, I stinking draw Sifamir, which is supposed to be kind of the quote-unquote self-insert OC, more cartoony than any of my other characters. Got no idea what that says about me. Probably something. Alright, but let me... Got one more guess as to where it might be, and if it's not there, then we'll just have to wing it and move on. I do have the old I purchase way too many sketchbooks and use them all at the same time problem. So, yeah, that's on me. That is 100% on me. Nope, just stupid puns about the name Percival. Okay. Okay, well, no luck with that. Let's not waste too much time on it. Okay, sorry, one last possible locations, which I highly doubt it's in. Yeah. No. Was I working on... God, I was working on watercolors recently. I always come back to that one and then sort of fall off of it again, but this time, at least it felt like I actually kind of knew what I was doing and I was enjoying using them. Usually I just mess with it and I'm like, this is incomprehensible to me. It is simply, like, too much for my brain to handle. So it was nice being able to actually sort of get it for once. Like, yeah, it's fun. It's a nice way to do. Well, I mean, it's a great medium for a lot of different things. What I'm interested in is to do like quick highlights on pencil sketches. But yeah, we'll see. All right, going back to the ref, which I'm not sharing because as a pose ref, you know, it is closed, but I still don't know 100% that Twitch would be like super on board with it. I'm very, very wary on that. I know that there's a lot of stuff that Twitch is totally cool with, honestly. But I try to be family friendly, and yeah, I don't want to risk it. It's seriously nothing bad. It's just like a swimsuit, but I want to make sure that this is a safe environment for everyone. So, right, hold on. Let's think through a little bit of the angle. That angle is more like that for this. The reference has a sword. I think it's even like a little bit more. Yeah, something like that. You know, we can have a shape to grab around, and that'll help with the thumb making sense. Sort of vanishes. So I guess the secret for my enjoying drawing hands is that really I enjoy drawing the thumb. You can get so much character in just a really good thumb. Like it's, I don't know. It's just a fun one to draw, and it gives good contrast to the other ones a lot of the time. Like you don't have to do all that much to make it. I mean, that one looks kind of squatty. We'd need the rest of the hand for context, but I don't know. Like even a detailed thumb like that's still clearly a hand with everything else kind of not that detailed. I'd still want to do a little more just so it meshed, but it worked. Straight line, probably at least like 30 point, just to the reference. That may have been too many point. This angle isn't so great for a spear, to be honest. This is why I wanted to test this kind of thing now. Because frankly, it looks like she's going to trip on that. Although, actually, worth note is that in the original ref, oops, no, it does cross over in front of this leg. So I may have the hand angle slightly off. But I also, I'm not 100% sure I want it to do that, because that obscures the view of one of the actually interesting details about her design. Let's see. We could try to have it more like this. Doesn't really play nice with lines of action and all of that, but it does at least play nice with it being a character sheet. Might have to fade it out when we do the inverse, or else they're going to run over each other. I'm going to have to do a separate box for the spear, probably. That's okay. What if we, like, choke up on it a little bit, or we let it, like, be way in front? No, it's... I'm trying to figure out an angle that will both look natural and not obscure the other pieces. Because I have to remember that, first and foremost, the goal of this is to be a usable character sheet for other people to draw Olivine. So perhaps we do just like a section of the spear, and then we have a separate box for it. It is kind of an interesting design in its own right. Not anything crazy, but I think it works. Okay, it's really not that exciting, honestly, but you know, spear. And for this part, we'll just have like, oh, we'll probably just have it like fade. A slightly smaller eraser in here. There we go. Not a fancy hand, but it will do. Okay. Now I think I can finally put that reference away. And see how we doing on time. Oh, we're an hour in already. Oh my. These Sunday streams just fly by. There we go. Last little bit, and then I'm going to want to tweak how this part's working. And also deal with the head. Gonna have to do the head at some point. Feet are workable. I don't like how that looks in this view. Okay, pauldron. How did I do it last time? Interesting. That feels like it wouldn't actually give very good shoulder cover, but it would leave range of motion. So I feel like it's not actually what I was intending. I may have just gotten too harsh of a shadow on it, but start with it as our premise. Oh, right. Okay, I'm remembering now. Okay, yeah, then maybe that was just very simple shoulder armor. I'm fine with that. Fix that curve. Should still be following along with this. Okay, I've got it tilted too far to the side. That's part of the issue. If we more like this, perhaps it should just be like a flat line on the top even, who knows. Yeah, not exactly nailing that. Where did I put my other refs? Were they just like earlier versions in this document? Like instead of the final Olivine, we ended up with like earlier Poe stock or something. That's very possible. Hmm. Yeah, this was definitely one of the ones where the sketch layer ended up being bad. Man, I am confused. Where was that sketch layer? An alternate set of colors. Several alternate sets of colors. Forgot how many iterations of those we went through. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I'm just not gonna find the original reference for that, I guess. In any case, I want to keep this not crazy detailed. Let me see. I like the idea for having actual like gloves. Then I guess it's just mostly unarmored. I had like one like plates that were crossing down here too. Hold on, they'd be more like that because we're gonna have like sort of that angle there. Just let that happen how it does. That'll be fine. Like a little bit of texture going on there. That will have to do for now. I want to come back to it, but I also want to do some other stuff real quick just to like refresh my brain so that I can come back to it a little fresh. Let's see. Olivine's face is going to be trickier for me, and I'm probably going to want Salt's reference here. Just to sort of keep an eye on the style. Whoops. Keep an eye on the style. And I'm going to be doing some style checking, because this is also the first time where I've been trying to like maintain a set style. Like between more than one art piece. So that's going to be an interesting challenge in its own right. Oh boy. I went with a fairly thin neck style for Salt. That's kind of what I prefer anyway, so I'm fine with that. Plus that one. Go for more of like the chainmail undershirt at the very least, yeah. Like a fabric one below. I know that I want Olivine to be sharper than Salt. I'm gonna start like this, but we'll see. That's not right. Hold on. Head-shaped circle. Then circle with a mask is typically what we've been going for. I've been liking that technique. Where are we perspective line-wise for Olivine? We haven't really established that, huh? And we're clearly above this arm, at least. Generally speaking, I feel like much like with... Well, no, Salt, we're kind of like face level. I'll be honest, with Salts, I just kind of ran with the pose and didn't mess with trying to figure out the perspective all that much. So Ollie's is probably going to need to be similar. Here. And that's like a lot of neck. We can probably bring that down a little bit. I want kind of like a narrower face. Not like that harsh, but well, actually maybe. It'd be good contrast. Nope, we still need that one apparently. There we go. I will go roughly there. Mouth. Making me realize this chin is like still slightly too sharp, probably. Oops. And even with this, I still like probably want this to be like a little bit rounded, just because there's still not like 35 or whatever. Still trying to get like more kid-like proportions for these characters. We'll see. We will see. Of course, she's got her what I think is cool headgear, and I don't know if anyone else does, but I like it, so we're keeping it. Sort of visor thing. Probably work to make sure those like line up with the eyes at all. Well, anyway. Sorry, Salt, I need to scoot you a little more out of the way for the moment. Whoops, okay, never mind. Running out of space. This always takes me a while to get this one right. I want it to end up being something more like that most of the time, but really like slightly less. Yeah. Ribbons there. That going on as it sort of sneaks around. Can't really see the spike on it from this angle, but we'll definitely, well, we'll probably catch that from the back. I'm sure I'm going to debate on that more. I do feel like I ought to make it a tiny bit bigger one way or the other. Nothing crazy, just like a little bit. Trying to keep her and Salt in like the same universe of like sizing and proportion.
How's that look? Versus that. I kind of like that one better. We'll stick with that. Okay, now I want to work a little bit more on the flare with these, because this looks so flat and bland right now. Problem is, I also want it to make any sort of stinking sense. If I want that to be the case, then really the one that I need to be exaggerating is not this one in the front, although it is the one that's squaring stuff off. But we need to make this one in the back like kind of flaring out more. Okay, I'm gonna hide salt for now. Problem is, this is like supposed to be a fairly heavy fabric material for a gambeson, so like it's not gonna be that flexible. I also need some reason for it to be staying in here, so like, because we've lost the original ref, I don't see any reason for this to not just go ahead and cross all the way across. I feel like it didn't originally, but it does now. Oops. There. It's funny to me that I can even do that. Benefits of vector layers. Okay, let's see. Then this layer is stinking chainmail, so it's also not going to like react all that much to movement. I actually wonder, yeah, would the chainmail just like be in front at this point? In which case, probably want a different vector or different tangent, because that merging is confusing and dull. There we go. Okay, thinking through a little bit on patterns before I get into anything else, which I shouldn't do yet, but I'm gonna do a little bit of. Of course, this one's got its like grid pattern. I mean, this texture alone is probably going to make people not want to draw Ollie, but we'll see. There's just a lot going on in that, so I may like have to simplify that texture a little bit. That's okay. Before we do that, there's one last piece I want to revisit. How did that get back? Huh, must have done an undo at some point that I didn't realize. Yeah, Ollie really probably has too many texture things going on in general. That's okay. Why did I make this design like this? I'm sure as I get better at drawing, if I keep this Olivine design, I'm going to hate this particular pattern more and more. The time and energy you're going to have to devote to it is going to be annoying. That'll do. Okay, now without the pose, is that coherent? Barely. Unfortunately, the Gambeson does lose like some of the pose's like angle. If we look at the pose, it's got like you can tell that it's more straight backed. I guess this sort of has it. Maybe if I chill on this shoulder a little bit and tweak some of these things. But yeah, I think we're gonna want to tweak this line a little bit, and we're gonna want to tweak these, maybe this, and then we'll just go from there. But for now, since we've gone for actually more than an hour already, we're gonna take a quick little pause. Don't forget to take a chance to use the restroom, drink some water, and take care of yourselves. I'll see you in just a couple minutes.
Howdys and salutations again. Welcome back. Hope that y'all had a good pause there for a few moments. We'll be continuing on this Olivine character sheet for just a little while. Hold on one second. And yeah, we're gonna just jump right back into it, I suppose. So where we left off, there were two things that I wanted to tweak to see if we could get this cleaned up before we move on to the next stage. This is still kind of a rough sketch. I always say that, and then I kind of decide to maybe just stick with it. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I suspect I'm going to want to do a cleaner one with more intentional line weight and stuff after this. But a lot of that depends on where I'm at tomorrow. What I want to get done today for sure is actually, yeah, if I'm going to do a cleaner layer. Or do I just commit to cleaning up this current layer? Because there's a lot of it that's perfectly workable as is. Let me open up our salt reference. And yeah, no, that looks a lot cleaner. Oops. Yeah, okay, we're going to want to clean up some. Granted, salt's design is also simpler, which helps with looking cleaner, but it is also just a lot cleaner. So yeah, we'll probably do a cleaned up line version where I'm actually paying attention to line weight, and we just build off of that. We might start that today, we might not. I mean, it would make sense to be the next step, honestly. I don't want to fill in our flats and then have to readjust it as all the borders change. But step one, before we get to that, is to... I can probably put that away at this point. But yeah, see how much faster that posing and layout and everything has gone? It's an improvement. Okay. There's two design choices that I want to sort out while we're still on the sketch layer. One of those, not that. One of those is this pauldron, which now that we've got an idea of where the fabric is, feels way too flat and kind of too small. But I think I needed to work out the rest of the arm before I could conclude that. I'm not saying it has to have a ton of depth, but feels like it ought to have more than it did. I'd actually look up pauldron references. Honestly, I'm gonna do that. Pauldron. There's so many different designs of them, both real and fictional. And you want to leave room for the arm to move, so... Pardon me. Wow. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting day of trying to stay awake. Just have it there. Because we can adjust how the fabric's folding a little bit if we need to. I need to remember this is with the arm down, and you would still need the mobility to move it up, so... That does kind of fit the pattern further down the arm if I just go with these concentric, not quite discs, but almost scales, I guess. Oops, not mean to select. That's from a hotkey that I rebound ages ago when we had a completely different drawing process. Probably ought to unbind that. Oh well.
see. This is the problem, is it's hard for me to think about how this would fit over an actual arm. Feels like I need to... Whoops! Did that again. I need to have it like go too far out and then down. Sort of show, because that's sort of how scale mail gets... Well, not all scale mail, but a lot of scale patterns get sewn on. One that goes too far out, and then one that's like where the actual attach point is further down the arm, and so it's like actually down here. Fabric's having to deal with this one. But those mostly just feel like they're going in a random direction, and they're facing flat, so let's... I like this Stardew song. This is a good one. Which one is it? Ring. Oh, yeah. Just a classic right from the get-go. I usually really like the fall and winter ones. Spring music's good too. And it's not to say the summer music's bad. I just have personal vendetta against that season for unrelated to Stardew reasons. Okay, let's iterate on this again. I'm going to bring our pose ref back, just so I've got something to go off of for where the arm is. Whoops. I don't want to edit the old reference, I just want to have it open. Because, for context, here's what I'm looking at. We can only see it from the back, and we can't see much of it. I'm not even sure that it would work as a pauldron. If anything, it feels more like a sleeve that's only really armored after the shoulder joint. Whoa, how did I get on that color? A little... Let's see. Alright, this song always just like shuts my brain down. It comes in really strong, and like my brain's just like, what's happening? What's happening? No more thoughts. Determined situation. And I don't know why. It's not like it's my favorite Stardew song. I'm actually not super keen on it, so I don't know why it just like makes my brain stop. Okay, yeah. I don't like that better. It's with like the bagginess coming off of that. We have this sort of going down and around. Oops. Got this sort of fitting into it too. Interesting, yeah. Not sure that would be useful armor in any way, but it's certainly something. It would still give you range of motion with your arm. So to that degree, at least, it would be useful. Just probably not as useful as just not wearing armor on your arm at that point. I guess you could advertise that as less effective than nothing. In a way to try to imply that, like, nothing is more effective, but when in reality it's just not doing anything is literally a better choice. We may have to clean that up a little bit, but as far as the design goes, I'm fine with that. I think our biggest issue at this point is just perspective. It feels like it needs to be wider, but also like less visible to us. Ay. You could also just have this gambeson like sort of fit into it and kind of just, yeah, probably be easier in terms of managing details without getting crazy on them. Okay. And what that leaves, the last thing that I want to sort of sort out is this part of the gambeson ain't feeling right. And I can't really say why. I can just say that it's not feeling right. So, first off, let's get rid of all the details, because of course we jumped the gun on those, as we are wont to do. Pardon me. Part of it may honestly just have been having that sleeve there at all. Let me go back to my pose reference. Keep closing it when I think I'm done with it. Then I'm like, oh, wait. Let's see. Okay. That's that open again. How much of that arm, like shoulder, can we actually see? Like basically nothing, because there's just like torso in front of it. Nope. There we go. Like that shoulder's completely obscured. Okay, that already is feeling better and feels more like the pose is at a correct angle. And the secret might simply be like letting it like ripple a little more, the gambus. I mean, it's still like this material shouldn't, but it also looks like Olivine's in our other reference is like fairly lightweight and more flexible than maybe a typical gambeson would be. Ow. I got my pen caught in my hair somehow. I don't even know. That doesn't make any stinking sense. Put that away. Oh, right! Okay, hold on. I forgot an important part of this design that actually changes and will probably resolve a lot of this. I'm gonna want the pose back, actually. Just doesn't help that much, but it may help a little. He has a belt sash thing that I'd completely forgotten about, and which is going to, you know, have an important impact on a lot of stuff. It's going to change the silhouette a little bit. It's going to change the drape of, frankly, both gambeson pieces. It's going to allow me to not have to have this, like, do a weird wraparound. I could have sworn I know somewhere I have a different Olivine drawing that, like, has more detail as to how this part, or at least a drawing of what this gambeson is supposed to look like. But I cannot for the life of me remember what the end of this is supposed to be. Other than just assuming that it's... I remember thinking like, oh man, it's the edge is just not quite visible on the other reference we did. What's that? That means we can let this lower part like flare out a little bit without messing with the upper part, which really shouldn't be flaring out. Even the lower part probably shouldn't be flaring out with the like direction of movement and stuff, but we can allow it a little bit for some fun, I don't know, things lively. Did not think through that. did not want to get rid of that entire line. Of course, now that means that the chainmail probably needs to be more like this. Being honest, because we're seeing more of it, so the edge we're going to run into isn't the edge of the gambeson, it's the actual edge of the chainmail. Okay, that's looking better. That's got a little more texture, it's a little more exciting. Without the pose, yeah, I like that more. We're gonna tweak this lower edge of it, but like, we got the shoulder, we got the like actual silhouette, having the belt helps. Much better. And then of course there's the fact that I'll go ahead and get it for the top part at least. Technically has a border. The other side doesn't. The other side's just kind of like loose. But loose curves, which maybe we'd be able to actually see starting to arc back up again. I feel like we're getting into some like weird, not good details, though. Like just it's making it messy. Olivine already has so much too much detail in her design. I like this song. Getting all synthy. Then I'd have to think about how the belt would actually warp that to be, you know, a little bit more like drawn out. How these loops would get kind of warped by the curve of the fabric, and why did I make this design so patterny? Did not have to do that, but I chose to for some crazy reason. Trying to get it at this angle, like, doesn't feel natural. Now I've got too many different lines going at once, so I can't even like visualize what this is supposed to be looking like. I think we kind of want to. Wouldn't be billowing that way though. Don't want the flare. Don't want the flare of having it more forward, but we may just have to settle for not too much. Problem is I don't want it to just like merge into that either. Although now that we've got the like everything else correct, that doesn't look as bad as it did. See. Okay, and then back to the pattern problems. I'm going to make it like a less dense grid, I think. This at least. Just for everyone's sake. This one, on the other hand, perhaps we could make even more dense. Mwahaha. Yeah, I can tell that's a sneaking gestury mess. Not gestury, just gestury. Because this isn't where we want to be drawing the eye. Like, that's not even supposed to be an important part of the design. So authentic or no, I think it might be better to just leave it fairly plain. Like, that already feels better. We've got so much detail on the sleeves. We've got the actual, like, exciting pattern part that I want to draw people's eyes to. We're going to have, like, accents down here. Ay. And we've got some of those. Really simplify my chainmail styling even more, but I'm glad to at least have it somewhat simple for now. I want to make it clear that these are like actually angled, not just like bands that I'm drawing in weird perspective. There we go, that's fun. What was the pattern on this? And it sure would be nice if I had a front view of it. I believe I lost my original ref for this. That's so silly. I think what it is, and it wasn't originally like, I don't think it was exactly this, but I think this is good, is that one. There's also one on this edge. I don't think any of that's going to be visible on the far one. Okay. Well, it's certainly a start for Olivine. Should be a slightly simpler, more character sheetable design, I'm hoping. We'll see. Still not good at abstracting faces, so we'll definitely see. 9:45. I'll set up for next time. How about that? What's this layer? Okay, that one still doesn't have anything on it. It can just be a dramatic background layer. Make this layer, we'll make it a little lighter, but it's still like, just because it's not exactly what we want it to be, it's still really handy. So we could probably proceed on the character sheet like this, and given the time crunch that we're in at this point, I probably should, but I'm not going to. I think we all kind of knew that by now, though. And we did, yeah. Yep, that's all. That's what we did for salt lines. Vaughn wanted to experiment with colored lines instead of black edges. I mean, y'all know me. I don't like, most of the time, I don't like emphasizing the line work. I want to emphasize the overall, like, character and not the lines. But if you've got interesting line work, then, like, that's my style goal. Partly because my old line work was bad. So I didn't want to draw attention to it. Like y'all saw the old ArtFight. I can pull that one up again. Where we were with Salt last year versus this year. I feel like even with the old Olivine drawing versus the current one, we're improving. It's like, look at what we're dealing with here. Like this is, look, is it terrible? No, but it's not good. Like it was an improvement from when it was. We actually like tried to get shadows to logically follow, mostly. Don't know why this would be casting that shadow. And I didn't really understand wrinkles. I was just sort of like trying to get fabricy pattern. I feel like I sort of understood wrinkles at that point. I just didn't apply that knowledge to this. I was like panicking because it wasn't lines, and I was like,
how do I do this? Now, honestly, this was far enough back that I may not have even had my sort of like breakthrough on, oh, drawing fabric, fun. And again, I don't know why I would have made that cape otherwise, but but yeah, no, the point is, like, definitely new salt ref sheet is such an improvement. And hopefully next year I'll be looking back at this one and being like, ooh, and realizing that I can do better. I mean, even the colors are just much more. It took some finagling, but they're much less dull to look at. Without, they're not like overbearingly bright like the white and red in this one are, but they're not like boring to the same degree that these grays are, or browns. I feel like grays. The shadow, I will say, the shadows go a long way on that. Having slightly different colored shadows rather than just the like lower the saturation shadows, really big help. Makes it pop a lot more. We'll probably have to do that with Olivine too, which will be a very different shadow set, and it's going to be very funky. Because we already kind of have a color scheme for Olivine. By the time we designed her, we were already like in the habit of trying to make color schemes. So that at least is good. But we don't have like the same shadow color scheme or like abilities there. So that's going to make things a little more complicated. Because it was a 4-hour drawing, so I didn't have time to do like shadow color palettes. I barely had time for the color palettes we did. Okay. Looking at that. Looking at this Olivine, it's still not 100% believable that they're like the same style. The biggest thing is going to be the face. I think if we can get the eyes and like the detail level on some things to match Salt a little better, then it's going to be going to work better. Probably ought to shorten the neck a little bit too. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to experiment with shortening the neck real quick before we get into our final line work. Just because that's one of those things where makes sense to do that at this stage still, I think. Okay, so if we lower that, not worrying about line work, or the lines, but just like with its position. I'll erase the one line that's distracting. That looks better. It does. Much as I like Phineas and Ferb Candace neck, it's probably not right for what I'm trying to do here. Okay. So then, line work. Shall we begin? Where should we even start? I never know where to start on stuff like this. Drop it to 20. Oh, I guess I probably ought to start on the big, like, sweeping lines. Then, like, we can deal with, like, smaller lines. I say, as I'm already doing a smaller line. Dagnabbit. Come on, brain. Listen to yourself sometimes. Would be so kind. Whoops. Then I don't know if the belt needs to be heavyweight, because I feel like the silhouette ought to be the most heavyweight lines, but I don't know if that's actually true. Oh, that line was perfect. There we go. I just needed them to get together and hang out a bit. I kind of like that being a tiny bit less sharp. There we go.
This is the one where you get to see me do the same line over and over and over again, because it's so fun. So much fun, we just had to draw it again. My posture's getting bad again, and that matters, well, it matters for neck pain and like wrist safety, but it also matters a lot more for like line quality, which was something that we weren't too worried about before. That's too heavy. That one needs lighter. Challenge is trying to keep it kind of equidistant, including equidistant with the lower section. We can maybe this one's better to do in segments right now. A little bit of variance, but nothing terrible. But this like actual silhouette one still doesn't need to be that heavy. We're not really trying to go for the max pressure. Okay, now for the shield. I do want to have a go at that. Actually, I don't know if we want to bother with this yet. Probably ought to do this with the flats instead. Like breaking those into separate layers. But yeah, I don't know. The way we did it with salt ended up working pretty well. I'm sure we could optimize it better with like layer separation and stuff, but for now, it's not a priority. I've ever got the thing that I'm going to want to do for that. Okay, someday I want to make a VTuber model, but before that, I'd love to make a pick crew. I feel like it'd be good practice at like making a bunch of different elements for the same piece and like learning layer management better for specifically containing objects rather than just containing types of layers. That's something I'd like to do down the road, just because it'd be fun, and you know, it'd be fun, and I'd learn something. That's really my goal with any stream. Okay. Let's see. So oh yeah, that was the key. So we did this, then we did the flats. Yeah, I just went straight from roughs to flats, as always. I knew I didn't, like, make a point of doing clean lines with salt. I just wanted to make sure, like, I was looking at Olivine, so I was like, oh, salts do look a lot cleaner. Okay, this is the same material, so. Let's try to keep the line weight somewhat similar. Actually, also Gambeson is just another half of the Gambeson. So. Metal, we might go for like a slightly heavier line weight. This is probably going to be too much, and I'm going to want to clean it up a little bit, but. Throw it down on there for now as a starting point. Really let the shadows take care of as much of that as I can. Oops. Solve it, I suppose. Yeah, let's. Right, that color's got like stinking no depth. What is happening with this? I did not line this part out very well. I may end up just copying the face lines. Face silhouette lines are like so hard because the tiniest details change how they look. Compared to some other things where you can like mess up a few details and like your brain will still be like, okay, yeah, that's right. But faces, we recognize so much more going on with them. That's the neckline. No, but like, I don't know. I'm trying to make this basically like just a soft t-shirt edge thing going on here. And it just doesn't really work with everything else. The overly stiff gambeson and everything. Eh. Maybe it just needs to like be a little bit out. Because this is the edge of the chainmail anyway, so it should probably be rougher. And it should sit like right on the shoulder. The part of the problem is I'm trying to, this is like technically in 3/4 view, and so like center probably ought to be somewhere more over here. Nearly 10 o'clock, okay. We have to wrap this up for now. We'll leave the collar alone for next time so we don't set a bad precedent. And hopefully we just remember to do it. That heavy line weight on the pauldron is silly. I shouldn't do it, but it's tempting. There's a part of me that wants to like actually like finish out the lines in the final line work, and I don't think that's actually a good idea. Oop, give me a second. Howdys and salutations again, y'all. Sorry that this has been like a super quiet borderline ASMR stream at this point, but again, I'm feeling better than when we started actually. I'm glad we've done this because I think it has helped me sort of wake up and shift out of what I was like the muck of the morning. How to check the air quality and stuff like that. Oh well. Yeah, see, I feel like the implied lines just looked better. They're not that implied. I mean, they're there. They're just not full. That's fine. We'll work on that. I honestly did not think we'd be getting to final lines at all today. So we're making good time in my mind. But we are just about at the end of this stream. There we go. That's where that felt so not correct. This is thing that I'm going to have to clean the line work up on a lot, because holy cow. Line work's so hard to stop. Once you get going on it, you're just like, oh, this is working. Like, you just don't want it to end. Aha! That's really the phase typically when something stops like looking like an idea and starts shifting towards like, oh, this is this is actually looking like a finished thing. But it's also a phase where you can run into like, oh, I in fact planned badly and now everything is a disaster. So I don't expect we'll run into that on this one, but it's technically always a possibility. I'm also, whoops, as I get the hang of line weight a little more, I'm also getting a little less precious with my lines, which is probably good. Because I'd frequently be hesitant to like delete a line if I was like, but that one like worked. Like, yeah, but can make another one that works too. I don't want to get too crazy on all this. I say as I continue to stinking draw well after, like, I know it's not been that many minutes, but should probably wrap up soon. All right, we got these chonkers. To be fair, I really like these. They don't make any stinking sense, like as far as actually wearing something, but I like how they look a lot. This will be an adventure in its own right, just getting foot proportions decent. That actually looks pretty much fine. The shadows will probably do more for that than the lines are going to do. For this side anyway. For the other foot, that may not be the case. Yeah. Liking how that's worked out. I'm glad we like spent some time making sure we got the pose on that part right. Did not do the same on this other one. So we'll see how that goes. Oh, the back legs pose was fine. It's just that some of the lines on this one are a lot scratchier. If I want these to match, then I need a little more texture on this one so that it actually, does match. Oop, wait, no, that was a good line. Okay, let's just clear this out. Wrap up the toe box a little more. I love this vector eraser. It's got its quirks some days, but like, man, it's nice. I know this is not a high line weight line. But for context on what's going on with these shoes, I was doing some research, and there were a number of eras in the Middle Ages where like you would enter the shoe instead of what we do where we unlace the top, they would unlace the sides. Like they'd have gaps like this. And then it wouldn't be stitched shut like this. It'd be, actually like threaded shut with a string, sort of like modern shoes, just along the side instead of the top. Now, I don't think this particular one is any good at all. It'd be more like up the side, but, it's a start. We'll see if we want this much detail on it at all, but that's something that we can consider when we look at this with fresh eyes next time. I do like my little like L-shaped chainmail placeholder. I think it works pretty well. Oh boy, the shield. Problem with this shield is that it's technically curved. Oh, okay, we can go back to a larger eraser. Moment anyway. So trying to finish it's going to be, or trying to get everything to look like it lines up right is going to be an interesting challenge. Thumbs. Kind of not got in a lot of detail on this one right now. That's interesting challenge. Talking about how much I like drawing hands, and then we're just drawing the worst hand. That's like, it's actually kind of recognizable from a distance, but it's still weird. I'll have to work on that. I do think that the handle angle is pretty decent, so it's just a matter of getting the hand around it. We'll try to not make this made up of 50 smaller lines, but in fact just one reasonably sized one. Hey, making the same mistake again and repeating over it like 20 times. Let's start with that, shall we? That upper one's easier. It basically just, works. This one I'm going to have to keep working on. The shield itself, I'm probably going to have to, think about a little more. I'm adding, nice bend reference, because I don't think I've got these straps right. I'm going to actually vote on let's do the straps again next time. Sorry, future me. That's something that you're going to want to have some fresh eyes on, because the physics of them is complicated, and I think the angle is wrong. So. Come back to that. Probably come back to the pauldron at some point. But have some fun with this. I mean, this whole section I'm basically going to keep as is. It's the kind of sketchy, chaotic, fabric bends there is exactly what I want. This part, however, we'll see. There we go. That's really going to mostly just follow the actual shape of the spear, I imagine. That's going to be, unfortunately, mostly on the other side. Oh well. Round off some edges, and that'll basically be good. I don't know. Actually, that thumb's like way too big compared to everything else. Hold on. Oh, it's that the finger was in bad perspective. Thumb is still like a little too big. But it's not the crazy too big it looked at first. That whole hand's still a little bit off, I think. We can tweak it a little more. We'll probably have to do more with that one, but you know, it's a start. Alright, so I ended up going with the classic pauldron on that. I'm perfectly happy with that. But I do miss that the sort of weird plate thing would have aligned nicely with whatever the heck is happening with these. That's kind of fun having a little flare. Keep mixing this up with Siphomire's, which has protection on the inner edge because Archer. You thwack yourself with your own bowstring once, you don't do that again. Trust me. Okay, I'll probably leave just about the rest of that for next time. We've already gone a little bit over, which is fun, but I do have things, unfortunately, that I have to go do today. Wouldn't think that, it's a weekend, but adulting be what it is. Okay, yes. Oops, nope, I can grab this little one, and yeah, that'll be set for that. Just kind of leave it. And hold on, let's... If we're gonna have to do it in perspective, or add color later, rather, then feels like no, this is the end that I need to do that on. Not because of the angle, but because of, well, no, because we're high up enough that it feels like you shouldn't see the bottom, but this is tilted enough that it feels like you shouldn't see the top. We're just like a very faint one down here. It's not like this is an actual thing for the piece anyway, but it's still going to be in it, so there we go. Or if I could do like a silly little like imply that there's more of it. Like a ring. We'll see if I like that tomorrow. I probably won't, but you never know. Looks like just a sci-fi tool. Yeah, we probably won't keep that, but I'll leave it for now. This makes it look like you're supposed to be able to see the underside of the foot, which you're definitely not. Do a milder one. Better, at least. Okay, shield next time. I think head next time. Gives us some stuff to do, and then hopefully we'll be able to do the flats and maybe even start getting some of our values in here, which would be nice. That would be cool. So yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be a stretch. I don't know if we'll finish it on the streams, but we're going to try to get this one ready for ArtFight on time too. There's a chance it'll happen. So I will leave it at that for today, though. Thank y'all for dropping by, and I hope y'all have a good one. See y'all next time.